we could see all over the country that the financial collapse in 2008 affected all of the arts everywhere. Every arts organization suffered terribly. And
we were able to do several joint productions.
Yeah, we would be instrumental in putting together a number of theaters where we worked, where our work was appreciated and liked, like Dallas, Cincinnati, et cetera, et cetera. And we would sell the idea of a production when we knew something was coming up. But there's also something that people just aren't aware of. Singers were getting so much more money. Their fees started going up.
Like 10,000 a performance.
Then it went to 16.
You know, and
then it went to 20. But budgets, annual budgets stayed the same.
The Met was paying perhaps 2,000 a
well, because it was the Met. You had but for the regional opera companies, it was a fortune. And Placido, Luciano Pavarotti and his agent absolutely destroyed the finances. It had a filter down effect because if the big stars were getting so much, then the little young singers also wanted more. Instead of $750 a performance or $1,000 a performance, they wanted $5,000 a performance for just graduated. And if you're doing 6 performances of an opera and and a little role that has 2 lines, let's say in the second act, is getting per performance $5,000, and there are 6 performances, that means that young artist is walking away with $30,000. And you think of all the roles that there are in a big opera. I'm very passionate about this because it affected me very directly in my ability to design scenery and costumes. A good friend of mine from Virginia, at the Virginia Opera in Norfolk, once said to me that, and he had worked in Cincinnati and Detroit before, and he was in the production department. And this is a long time ago. This is even in the late 1990s. He said, in my years in opera, his years, 20 years, shall we say, budgets remained flat. They were just the same. And I have seen where in the early days we would say that 50% went to artistic, which means artistic is the singers, the chorus, the orchestra, the rehearsals, and 50% went to technical, which meant new scenery, new costumes, rehearsal time on stage, production, designers, etc. He said, I have seen artists' expenses going up like this, and the budgets for the productions descend. So this big shift happened.
There was a partial solution, and that is any viable opera company created an apprentice program.
Right.
And so a group of maybe 15 young singers would be apprentices and be on permanent duty, but they didn't get salaries. They were
because they were apprentices.
They were apprentices.
That's what.
And they were just as good as.
It's what is euphemistically now called young artists programs. The young artist programs started because the companies could no longer afford to bring in good compromario singers who were age appropriate to the roles they were doing. Compromario singers would sing old priests and character roles, and they would be brought in from the Metropolitan or New York City Opera or San Francisco or Chicago, where they were on staff, but it became too expensive.